The story, Purple Passion, as I remember it happening so long ago. Hindsight being 20. 20 is one of those sayings we pick up along the way in life without really giving it too much thought. We like to think we see the bigger picture about times past from the precocious certainty of our older and wiser future personages. With maturity and the experiential gaining of wisdom that we like to generously claim, we look toward past times to apply a sensical reason to the irrational and downright strange things we experienced in our youthful days during the dying of the real American experience. The youth of today will never know what it was to come of age in an independent manner and without the chaos of modernity. Thus was the never-to-be-experienced again Purple Passion situation. I was rounding out the last throes of childhood at the age of 13 and a half and had already known all about Purple Passion, though I oftentimes wished I had never heard those words at all. I still get this awful anxiety to this day, anytime I think about it. The story of Purple Passion isn't mine to claim, but instead it is the story of a 9-year-old chubby neighborhood boy named Alphonse, whose mother was named Carmen, I want to say. He had, like most boys his age, began eavesdropping on older boys and had heard them animatedly talking about Purple Passion. Naturally, his curiosity had gotten the better of him and he wanted to know what Purple Passion was. He had begun asking the older boys about Purple Passion, hoping we would fill him in on some raunchy tale that he could then tell to his peers in an effort to appear older and cooler than they were. He was insanely persistent in his quest to hear the Purple Passion story, and of course we all refused to tell him anything. The boy wasn't quite old enough, and that was just how it was. He must have asked 30 of us at least to tell him, but no one would budge. I tried to explain to him that this was no story for children and that if he were to hear it, he would likely never sleep again, and if he did, the nightmares that he would have will last forever. But Alphonse wouldn't take no for an answer. He was a stubborn little shithead like that. He decided to pass a note to Jessica, who sat in front of him in class, that read simply, "What is Purple Passion?" His teacher saw him pass it forward and quickly snatched it up. When she opened the note and read the single line, her face turned bright red and little veins began popping out on her forehead. "Alphonse," she barked in a high-pitched tone that meant she was beyond furious. "What is wrong with you? Do you want to be expelled from school, young man?" Alphonse fidgeted in his chair and he began to stutter. "No, ma'am, I just wanted to know what Purple Passion was." "Shut up this instant, Alphonse. I don't want to look at you anymore, you little bastard. March your ass down to Principal Feldman's office and don't you ever come back to my classroom again." She screamed as she scribbled a disciplinary note and threw it at Alphonse, who looked as if he was going to piss himself. Alphonse had never had any behavior problems at school, so it was extremely surprising for Principal Feldman to find the boy sitting outside of his office clutching a teacher's note. "Come in and sit down," he told Alphonse, wondering if this was some kind of mistake. "You are the last kid I expected to see a teacher write up, so what seems to be the problem, young man?" "I just asked a simple question and she flipped out on me. I swear that was all that happened," he answered. He handed the principal the note with trembling hands. "Take a deep breath and relax. I'm sure there was just some kind of misunderstanding," the principal said softly. But his tone changed when he read the teacher's note. "Care to explain yourself, young man?" The principal barked as his face also turned red. "I just wanted to know about Purple Passion and no one will tell me what it is." "Well, you're expelled from this school as of this very minute and I'm calling your mother to tell her to come get you. You are no longer a student of this institution." The principal had an armed security guard escort the boy to get his belongings and then off of school grounds. The security guard was an off-duty police officer who was built like a house. He had tattoos and looked like he had, at one time in his life, been cool. He waited with Alfonso so that he wouldn't be alone, and his curiosity was gnawing at his insides, prompting him to ask, "So what the fuck did you do, kid? In 7 years I've known the principal, I've never seen him that angry. So out with it, kid. What did you do to make him expel you from school like that?" Maybe this guy would be the one who would spill the beans on Purple Passion once and for all. He definitely looked like he would know about it. And maybe now that he had somebody's sympathy, they would just answer the question. All this trouble for no payoff was bullshit. No, he had to know. He had to take this thing all the way. "Well, sir, I heard some of the older boys talking about Purple Passion like it was so great thing, and I want to know what Purple Passion is, but nobody will tell me. Every time I bring it up, I just get in more trouble." The security guy winced, but forced a smile to try to appear as if he wasn't disgusted with Alphonse's inquiry. "Jesus, kid, of all the things you could have gotten in trouble for, you really went for the gold, didn't you? Look, I've got to go. You'll be fine. Just wait here for your mom and don't go anywhere. Also," he said while he half-sprinted back toward the school, "don't get into any strangers' cars no matter what they offer you. Remember, stranger danger, all right. You'll be fine so long as you forget about Purple Passion and never ask about it again." "See you, kid." Alphonse's thoughts began to race. He was in a shitload of trouble now for sure. His mom would be livid and his father would be even worse. He didn't know what to do now. He had really stepped in it. But what really occupied his thoughts was the mystery of Purple Passion. All this trouble, yet he wasn't any closer to knowing what it was. His mother picked him up and they rode in silence. The principal had been screaming into the phone at her, and he knew she was angry, but she didn't yell at him. She just drove in silence, tears welling up in her eyes that she tried desperately to hold back. He felt like the world's biggest asshole, but still he yearned to know what Purple Passion was. Surely his mom knew, but he didn't want to make it worse than it already was by asking, so he kept quiet. When they reached their driveway, she pulled in and turned the car off. Then she spoke to him. In a calm manner, she asked her son, "So tell me what happened. What did you do to get expelled from school? Is it drugs? Did you join a gang? Did you expose yourself to a classmate? Did you call a girl a foul name like 'Hey dumb cunt' or 'Look at that stupid horse-faced whore'? Did you call that Jimmy kid a fag because of his lisp?" Alphonse shook his head from side to side. "No, Mom. It was nothing like that. All I did was asked what Purple Passion was, and everyone freaked out on me, like I had said the N-word or something." Alphonse was surprised to look over to his mom and find a look of pure horror on her face. "It would have been better for you if you had said the N-word, Alphonse. Where did you hear about that young man?" she said, anger and bass now replacing the gentleness in her voice. "Nobody will tell me what it is. They just keep getting big mad when I ask, and the older boys just make fun of me for not knowing what it is. I didn't mean for all this trouble. I just want to know what Purple Passion is. Furious." His mother told him to go inside and go straight to his room. No dinner, no television, no chores, nothing. Just to go to the bedroom room and wait there until his father got home from work. As he sat there, he knew he should be worried about what his father was going to do when he got home. He would catch a belt across his bottom for sure. But all he could think about was Purple Passion. What was it that could solicit such extreme responses from the adults, and why did the older boys guard the secret of it like it was worth millions of dollars? It drove him crazy as he waited for his father in silence. He wasn't expected until 6 p.m. when he got off of work, but it had been merely an hour when heard the sound of his dad's truck pull into the driveway. He got up and pressed his ear against the bedroom door. He heard his father come in the front door to be greeted with a barrage of emotion from his mother, who had been chain-smoking non-stop since they had gotten home. The back and forth was tense, and he thought he even heard his mom threaten to move out of the house or something like that. His father calmed her down after a few minutes and calmly asked, "Where is he?" He ran back to his bed and sat there fidgeting as his dad opened his bedroom door. To Alphonse's astonishment, he didn't appear to be angry at all. He sat down on the bed next to his son and let out a long sigh. "Hey, buddy," he said. "You've caused quite a bit of trouble from what I hear." "Yeah, Dad," Alphonse replied, feeling defeated. "So, Purple Passion. Huh? You heard about it from somewhere and your curiosity went on a rampage, is what I gather. Your mom wants me to beat you up and down the street, then ground you for a year, you know that?" "Yeah, Dad. I'm sorry." "I'm not gonna do that, kid. Don't worry and don't be sorry. It's normal to be curious about the mysteries of the world. So what do you say we put this one to bed once and for all so we can get back to normal around here?" "Really, Dad?" Alphonse said, trying to stifle his excitement. "Come on, kid. Put your shoes on. We're going for a ride. Today's the day you find out about Purple Passion. I had hoped this day would be a lot further into the future, but people plan and God laughs at them, right, kid?" Alphonse had already had his shoes on, laced, and was standing by the door. He would finally know about Purple Passion, and the older boys would have to accept him as their equals. They got in the truck and drove all of 5 minutes from their house. They hadn't even left the neighborhood by much. Hisand had parked across from a run-down 2-story house that was straight out of a horror movie. The fence was decrepit and missing most of its panels. The grass had overgrown into enough city code violations to bankrupt even Elon Musk. Paint had been stripped from the moldy siding, and huge runs and broken glass and trash littered the property all around it. "What is this place, Dad?" he asked, his voice trembling with fear and a hint of regret. "You wanted to know what Purple Passion was, right?" But, well, I want you to listen to me very carefully, because from here forward you have to do this on your own. You're gonna cross the street as quickly as you can, and when you get onto the property, keep yourself low and move quietly. I mean as quiet as a fucking mouse, you understand? All he could do was nod and listen. He didn't want to go onto that god-forsaken tract of property, but there was no going back now. His father's face was serious and tense, and his voice was the same. "Make sure you do exactly as I say. Sneak up to the house and stay out of sight. You're going to move quietly over toward the second window on the right, the open one with the faint purple light flickering from it. Don't make a sound, not a fucking sound at all. You raise your head just high enough to look inside that window. You see what you need to see, then you haul ass back to the truck as fast as you've ever hauled ass in your life. Don't look back, no matter what you hear, and when you get to the truck, you put your seatbelt on, because we are going to book it out of here like our lives depend on it. Because in a way, Alphonse, they do. You're my son. I love you. Don't fuck this up. Follow my instructions to the letter and you'll be okay. Do not deviate in any way from what I told you to do. Now, his dad said, get over there and get it over with. Today you become a man's son. Now go. Alphonse got out of the truck. He was shaking from head to toe with fear and anticipation. Purple Passion, whatever it was within his grasp, and he mustered every bit of courage he had and started toward the house. Quickly but stealthily quiet, he began to cross the street. The house became more terrifying with every inch closer he came. Fear and curiosity were fiercely doing battle in the boy's mind, but he persevered regardless. He had come too far and was so close. His father was watching from the truck, and he wouldn't let anything hurt me, Alphonse reasoned. A cold breeze swept the block from out of nowhere and chilled him to the bone. It stirred the leaves and the trees and the curtains on Alphonse's dilapidated destination, which revealed a faint purple light glowing and pulsating from somewhere deep within the pitch darkness of houses in terroir, shaking and wet with cold sweat. The boy gave a nervous glance back to the truck to see his father watching his slow advance while smoking a Marlboro and scraping dirt from under his fingernails with a pocket knife. He smiled at Alphonse and gave him an encouraging nod, to urge him to complete the mission and learn the truth about the mystery of purple passion once and for all. His confidence was surging, and he told himself he would be one step closer to manhood after he had the answer to the purple passion question. The purple light began to get brighter and brighter as he reached the center of the street. He heard a faint whispering voice call his name from within that house. He was shaking and nearly paralyzed with fear again. He refused to allow his body to freeze up, and with the strength and courage he could muster, he lifted his leg to step forward. His foot had just barely touched the pavement when suddenly a speeding city bus that was 23 minutes behind schedule rounded the street corner seemingly from out of nowhere and ran him over at roughly 45 miles per hour, which had flattened Alphonse like a bloody pancake under its massive wheels. It was over in less than a second, the medical examiner said, who pronounced Alphonse dead at the accident scene. The moral of the story is to never illegally cross the road. Use a crosswalk and always look both ways.